Hey guys, this is my official Red Deck Wins post spoiler full deck tech. This is not only post spoiler, but this is post testing. I've done a lot of testing on X Mage. I've played black white Planeswalkers Control. I've played mono black zombies, Esper zombies, black white zombies, black blue zombies. I've played Mardu. I've played 4C Saheeli, 4-color Saheeli Copycat. And I'd say this deck overall has performed very well against all of those decks. Mainly Mardu and 4C Saheeli, this deck completely destroys. It dismantles their key components. Oh, I've also played green-red energy and green-red good stuff with Ronas and just a bunch of high creatures. This deck really, really beats them down. So now we're going to get into the deck tech here. And I'm going to get into specific matchups that I've played here. So Soulscar Mage, all-star of the deck. This card can turn off all of the gods because, no, I mean, I'm sorry, he can turn off Ronas with a burn spell. So let's say they play Ronas turn 3, and then turn 4 they play a 4 toughness creature. If you shock that creature, it becomes a 2/2, and Ronas can't attack or block, and then you're free to swing in again. And a lot of the creatures in this deck have menace, so the fact that they only have one creature that can block is a big deal, and that can get in that final damage on turn 5 to end the game. This card, can turn Heart of Quran into a 2/2 with a shock, and of course, who in their right mind is going to accrue a Heart of Quran when it's a 2/2 instead of a 4/4? That's a world different of damage, and it just turns that card off completely. It doesn't remove it, but the nice thing about Shock is it isn't artifact removal, so you're able to use it in other aspects. You're able to use it in destroying planeswalkers in different games, but it can also shut off Hard Quran, it can also finish off an opponent, it can also take down another creature. This card is just an all-star, and the fact that it's prowess, this card can sometimes get to a 5 or a 6/3 or a 5/6 on turn 2. Crazy stuff. Flameblade Adept. Uh, this card is just so good with Menace. Menace is so good right now in this format. This is a little bit of a slower format. If you're not playing a faster deck, you're typically playing like a 2-drop, then playing a 4-drop. And the fact that you can like shock a key creature and then get through with all of your creatures because they all have Menace is just ridiculous, especially with all the buffs that are in this deck. I really, really like this card, and it also synergizes with Blood Rage Brawler. It does get that +1/+0 when you turn 2, drop that, and discard a land. He becomes a 2/2. So I actually wasn't playing Karizab, and I had an issue with Blood Rage Brawler. I just felt like he wasn't versatile enough. This card is just insane. It splits up your damage over multiple creatures, and it's exactly what you want in mono red. I thought this card was like so-so when it came out. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if people are stupid. This card is ridiculous. Yes, it's legendary, so I'm only playing 2 of it. But holy crap, every time I play it, it's just free damage. Like, if they don't have a removal spell, it's just crazy powerful. Blood Rage Brawler, uh, it can discard a card. It's a 4/3 for 2. Pumps up your blood. Uh, Flameblade Adept. I mean, how much better can you get for 4/3 for 2? Not only is he a 4/3 for 2, but that discard can actually help you turn Hazoret online faster, which is exactly what you want with this deck. Invigorated Rampage, all-star instant. Uh, you see that initial one is +4/+0. The reason why I like this card is it has options. A lot of times you buff a creature and it gets, fatal pushed in response, and that sucks. Instead, you're giving 2 creatures trample, splitting up that buff and that keyword, which is super crucial. It can turn, getting 2 for 1 to kind of getting 1 for 1, which is when removal is just 1 for 1ing in a mono red deck, it's not that good because you have so many creatures. So it's just not a big deal. The fact that you can split this damage up can also, give a higher creature trample and a lower creature trample and get that final damage in when they have 2 blockers. This card is just an all-star. There's 3 in the deck because when I played it, if you draw multiples, it's kind of a dead card, so you kind of want to keep it 3. Even though, there's not many other buffs in the deck, I don't think I would want to go over that. Another all-star in the deck, Consuming Fervor. Holy crap, this card is ridiculous. So I was playing on X-Mage, and I dropped the Soulscar Mage, the 1/2 prowess, and on turn 2, I dropped 2 of these. The Soulscar Mage became a 9 a 9/10 on turn two, swung in for 9, and you'd say, don't do that because you're gonna get 3 for 1. That isn't true because my opponent played a green red land, and if you know the meta, green red only has burn removal, and none of their burn can reach an 8 to a 10 toughness. They conceded on turn. I won on turn 3. I swung on turn 2. They passed. Or they played a 2/2. The 2/2 that gives you 2 energy and you can tap for a mana. I forget its name. They played that, and I untapped. I shocked it, and I played Invigorated Rampage, and I swung in for the win, and that was just ridiculous. Turn 3 win, and if you know what your opponent is playing based off their lands, you can go all in and just win. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He couldn't do anything and turn 3 win. I mean, it's just crazy powerful. Obviously, never do that against a black deck because they will fatal push you, and you'll probably have to end up scooping. So when I see black mana, I don't go all in because I know that fatal push is the number one card that can, ruin my deck. Usually, when I play decks that have fatal push, I have a harder time. But this card is just insane. If you think about it, it's +3/+3 when it comes out for 1 mana, which most red instants do that, but then it stays. And it stays on your next turn, it's a +2/+2, and then your third turn, it's a +1/+1. And it triggers prowess, and it's just so, so, so good. It's crazy powerful, especially with menace creatures. Just insane. So powerful. Hazoret is an all-star, yet again. I only have 2 of in the deck because if you do draw multiples, it does suck. It can cause you to lose the game because you can't attack or block, or you can't cast her, etc., etc. But man, I can't tell you how many times Hazoret has just I play her on turn 4 on curve, and my opponent scoops. I mean, they can't do anything. If they're not playing black, they can't kill her. There's nothing. I think there's a white spell. There's Deck and Stone can get her, but there's one white enchantment that can get her, and I think Grasp of Darkness can get her. But opponents have a very, very hard time killing her. And most of the times they end up using their Grasp of Darkness on earlier creatures, and I'm just able to just pound in with this card. And the fact that she can discard and split up her damage, that's great for getting your opponent down to 0, but if you think about it, that helps you kill planeswalkers. I mean, this card is a planeswalker killer. You play this on turn 4 after they play a Gideon, and you just smack in and kill it. I mean, just so many utility features with that activated ability. I really like that. Lathnu Hellion, this is a card I wasn't playing. I used to play it in a different deck. I felt like the card had a little bit of a lackluster in the 3-drop department, and so I dropped 2 Lathnu Hellions in here. Yes, it only stays around for 2 turns, but this deck doesn't care. You're going to win. If you get in for 8 damage with this card, you probably already gotten 8 damage with a different creature on turn 1 and 2, or on turn 2, and 3, so that's game over right there, with a couple burn spells. Most of the time, I get my opponent down to 2 life, and I end up invigorating, shocking them to death, or I end up using Collective Defiance. I mean, there's so many ways to finish off your opponent in this deck. You don't have to worry about having 0 creatures once they're down to 3 life. I mean, you basically won. Again, shock, I mean, it's shock. It's as close to Lightning Bolt as we can get. Hungry Flames, this is a card again. The 3-drop department was a little lackluster, and we didn't have any instants. So I put this card in. 3 damage to a creature, that's great, hits most creatures, but it also does the 2 damage to a target player, which can help kill planeswalkers even more. And it does that for 3 mana. It's kind of a weaker version of Collected Defiance. And it's instant speed, and it's cheaper to get both effects if you think about it. I really like it. Incendiary Flow, I was only playing 2 of these. I went up in the burn because I felt like it was necessary. It helps get rid of keep Scrounger. And I just felt like I needed more burn, and this is the best burn spell besides Shock that's in the 2-drop slot. Galvanic Bombardment's okay, but I want to be able to hit players, and so this is the best card for that slot. And I bumped it up 1 after testing. Really like this card. Shaundra, this card helps you beat control decks. Control decks can end up just ruining you, but if you can drop a Shaundra on turn 4 with a somewhat of a board, you've pretty much won. You get card advantage, you can blow up any creature pretty much, and you can get mana, a mana sink. Sometimes I play a Shaundra, and then I do her +1 for double red, and I play a Blood Rage Brawler with no cards in hand, and that's an amazing play. I just played 6 mana worth in a mono red deck. That's unheard of. So She's just an all-star, and she can help get that final damage in. She's card advantage, which is exactly what red lacks all the time, and she fills in that gap. Such a great card. Collective Defiance is good because um, it has options, and you can escalate it when you're getting flooded. I can't tell you how many times I've won when I've done all 5 options. I've killed a creature, used the 3 damage to kill a planeswalker, and then I wheeled my own hand. You know, I maybe had 2 extra mountains in my hand, and I wheeled it, and I got like a Hazret and a Shaundra. It was just like, okay, next turn, and then I pass my turn. Next turn, I drop a Shaundra. Then after that, I drop a Hazret, and then my opponent scoops. Just such a good card. Gets rid of that flooding that mono red can. If mono red floods, it loses because it needs that right healthy balance. Other decks can flood because their cards are 5, 6 mana and they can just slam down. Mono red doesn't do that. So if you start getting flooded and you start losing steam, your opponent has a wall to block that steam later on in the game, and you want to get that steam out initially. So this helps kind of mitigate that. I threw this card in because I didn't want to play 3 last new Hellions. I wanted some variety, and this card is great. Every time I actually kind of want to go up in it, but I'm afraid because it is a 2 toughness card. If you notice that last new Hellion's a 4/4, that's like nearly impossible to kill with burn. There's a lot of shocks running around and things like that. And so I am playing this card because if you drop it at the right time and make a certain creature unable to block, you can completely turn the game around and even end the game right then and there. And so I thought this was a good one-of. It's a good utility. It's got haste, exactly what this deck wants. But I don't want to go up in it because it does have 2 toughness, and that makes it, it can't block and block up. It's usually going to trade with something, which is not what this deck wants to do. Again, I'm playing 21 mountains here. I thought about going to 20, but you do want to hit that 4 mana consistently, and we do have mana sinks in Collected Defiance. Nothing like Fireball, but we do have somewhat of a mana sink there, and we do have mana sinks with Shaundra. She can give you card advantage. You can drop a Shaundra, +1, and maybe even play something else. So there's a couple mana sinks. I thought about playing Glory Bringer, but it's 5 mana. I hardly ever hit that, so I'm not going to be playing him. So let's move on to the sideboard here. Final comments before the deck. Again, I've played 4 Seas Saheeli. I mean, that matchup, if I played it every time, I'll win. I mean, it's ridiculous. I literally just like shock their Manadorics, and then I'll shock their Saheeli at the right time, and I'm so fast. I mean, 4 Seas Saheeli is so fast because it's a combo. Once they get that combo out, they win. With my deck, I'm faster. I mean, if they do get the combo out perfectly, I have a shock ready to kill it, and then the following turn I win. And it's just because I'm so fast, I don't care about them. And my deck is somewhat resilient because the creatures do have a high toughness. If you notice, none of them are 2/1s. I don't play 2/1s because you want that 2 toughness so you can trade up with all the 1/1s and the all that crap that's going on with zombies right now. You want to be able to stop Crypt Breaker and all that early damage, and you want to be able to swing through that. So that's that. So the biggest matchups I have trouble with are black-white planeswalkers because they just remove, then they play a planeswalker, and then they build up a board of Gideons, and it's just so frustrating. I have a really hard time against that. I also have a very hard time against zombies, specifically Esper and black-white zombies. They're pretty fast. Zombies is a fast deck because they do have Lord of the Accursed, and I can't. They're playing a creature every turn consistently, and it's hard for me to continuously remove them. As I've played that deck more, I figured out what beats them. Usually, saving your removal spells for number 1, Relentless Dead. You got to make sure they can't return to their hand, and number 2, Lord of the Accursed. If you can get rid of those creatures, you've pretty much won the game. But they have this stupid removal spell from Eldritch Moon. It's a black and XX, and you pay XX, and you create that many zombies, and then target creature gets -X, or target creature gets, -X, where X is the number of creature zombies you control.
and it's freaking ridiculous. They can play that for 1 mana most of the time and kill Hazoret. If they have 4 zombies out, they pay 1 mana and kill Hazoret. Most of the times they create 2 zombies and then give Hazoret -8, -8. It's like ridiculous. So my sideboard is kind of geared toward beating that deck. I have the hardest time with that zombie deck. So that's why I have Sweltering Suns. Whoops, I left that sideboard comment in there. I actually had this as a 2 of. I bumped it up to 4. Uh, the decks that I want to play this against, I want to draw it, and I need 4. It completely blows them out of the water, and I've won games by holding back cards and then slamming a Sweltering Suns at the right time and wiping their board, and then following turn I build my board, and then they concede. So this card is really good. This again is for Heart of Quran. I've actually thought about taking it out because my deck is already so good against Heart of Quran with Soulscar Mage and just the removal suite I have. I can just remove all of their creatures they tap. They use to tap to accrue the heart. So I'm thinking about taking this out, but right now it's in there. Insult to Injury. This was in the main. I moved it to the side because it's sideboard because most games is pretty bad. This card comes in against any deck that's running the Gideon of the Trials. That +1 that Gideon has is negated by this card, which is really great. Gives all my creatures a pseudo double strike, and then after that, this card does have creature removal and to the face damage, which is good. But I just don't think this deck fits. It's not good enough for my deck. I think this card belongs in a deck that has creatures that have tons of power and have trample, and then you can just swing and win. I don't think this belongs. This might belong in like a green-red deck. That's really, I don't know. I played it and I just felt like it was a dead card most of the time, so it's in the side. Magma Spray. This is to kill Scrap Heap Scrounger. It's also more removal against certain decks like zombies. I want more spot removal, so I'll take out some of my trample stuff, and I'll just use this to remove more of their creatures. Carry Zav's Expertise. So this is, I play this against the Ronus decks. Let me tell you the scenario where this is really good in. I was playing against, what was it? It was a green-red good stuff deck. So they were playing Ronus, they were playing Verdurous Gearhulk. Oh, I'm sorry, it was green-red-black. Is that Sultai? No. Why can't I think of that? What the heck is that wedge? Sorry. So they're playing green, black, red. They played Mind Rack Demon. They played Verdurous Gearhulk. They played Ronus. And he. So what I did was I knocked his Mind Rack Demon down to like 2 power with a shock, so he wasn't able to attack with Ronus. The following turn, he played Liliana, the new Liliana. He brought back the Verdurous Gearhulk, and he buffed the Gearhulk to a 6/6, and he buffed the Mind Rack to a 5, back to a 4/5. He passed the turn. I had a board of menace creatures, but he had enough to slow me down at that point. So then I was like, okay, I won. I drew, played Kirizev's Expertise, stole the Verdurous Gearhulk, swung with the team. He blocked the Verdurous Gearhulk, couldn't block anything else because it was all menace. Excuse me. And I ended up winning with the trample damage from the Verdurous Gearhulk. And I stole his 6/6 Trampler. This card is very, very good against certain matchups, and if you draw it, it can literally just, like, it's an auto win. It's ridiculous. So I have it in here for that reason. Any card that can do that in mono red, I want to play. So that's the deck. Let me run through it one more time. Yeah, so overall, I really like this deck. It's under $100 to make. Hazoret has gone up in price. When I bought her, she was $5. Now she's $10 a piece. Most of these cards are under $1. Like this is $1. This is 50 cents. This is 25 cents. This is 25 cents. This is like a 50-cent rare. Collective Defiance is $1. I mean, believe it or not, $1. This card, I bought it for $1 each, and I think it's still around there. This card I bought for $1 each, and I think it's gone up. This card, I think it's like $1. Oops, excuse me. So honestly, this deck is under $100, and I bought these at like $3 each when they were pre-released. These were 25 cents. Yeah, so this deck is really good, and it's really, really cheap. I think it's the best budget deck that can actually beat the tier 1 decks. That's what I feel, and that's what I believe about this deck. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's any additions or changes I should make, any cards that I'm unaware of, or anything that you think doesn't belong. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and you guys are great.